I'm Paul.
I'm Steph, and we are Greywind, and you're watching IndieBuddy.com. It's amazing because we were like that. All we ever wanted to do was be in a band. So for now to be in a position where people can kind of look up to us is weird, but good weird.
Yeah, even we're from Killarney, and we grew up loving My Chemical Romance and Fall Out Boy and classic emo bands and stuff, but we could never find any other band members. So it was just me and Steph, and we're like, but all we want to do is start a band. So then one day we're like, we can't wait anymore, and we decided to go into the studio for the first time ever, and we recorded our song Afterthoughts, and then just overnight, our life changed, and it's been, it kind of, you always think, oh, you have to have 1 million subscribers on YouTube or 1 million Twitter followers to get noticed, and it taught us that it just write the best songs you possibly can, and you can literally do anything. And we're the proof. We had no connections to the music industry, never played a live show in our entire lives.
We had everything against us.
It's so it was crazy. So it's I love that we can hopefully inspire the people, knowing that just do it yourself and just work hard. You can do anything.
Yeah, that's why I always used to be so Paul see me in when I was younger, I used to be like, oh, I just want to be in a band. And then Paul was just like, let's just do it ourselves. We can't find anyone. So even when we recorded the demo of Afterthoughts, that was the first time we ever heard the full band
drums
sound.
And bass. Because we asked the producer, can you just throw in drums and bass on it so we can see what we sound like? Usually a band is in a rehearsal room every night. Our recording of Afterthoughts was the first time we ever heard drums.
We were like,
and
oh my god, it's
bass, and then we posted online, and then a week later Zane Lowe's playing the demo on BBC Radio 1, and it's we're like, what is happening?
So fast, and I think that's kind of, I'm glad it kind of happened that way, that we didn't think too much, because I feel like when we think too much, then you can get kind of lost in all that. I think if you just, like Paul said, if you just write as the best song as you can, and don't do it for the wrong reasons. Don't do it expecting, oh, I'm gonna get signed to a label tomorrow because I just wrote that. You know what I mean? Just kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, we just wanted we weren't oh, we're gonna put this song out and we're gonna get signed and we're gonna tour with our favorite bands. We were just we just want to hear what we sound like as a band for the first time. So it was just for ourselves.
So
and
for it to actually turn into, oh wow, we can actually do the thing we want to do, then that's amazing.
We because we could never find a band, we would just go busking in Killarney, and we used to play You Me at Six songs and Thrice songs and Take My Son a Younger, and we've played shows with all of those bands now, which we grew up loving, which is it's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of because we were thrown in the deep end. It was we're so used to usually bands start and they're playing to the intimate kind of crowds, and it's yeah.
I feel like any crowd, I personally, which sounds weird, I prefer big stages and stuff. I don't know why people think I'm insane, because usually
people feel more comfortable on smaller stages. We
played an arena in our hometown last month, and that was my favorite show ever, and I wasn't nervous. It was weird, but then for smaller ones, I think because it's more closer to you, it's probably more nerve-wracking. But I feel like we've done every possible situation. We've been we've been thrown into the deep end, so I think we're ready for anything.
Even up to this point, I think this tonight was our 42nd ever live show in our entire lives, and we've been able to play Reading and Leeds and Rock and Ring and Download and played arenas and stuff. So it's kind of we've been thrown in at the deep end. We're just winging it.
Yeah, that's what we really wanted.
Yeah, because we grew up listening, like I said, the classic emo bands like Take My Son and My Chemical Romance, but then we also listened to Explosions in the Sky and Caspian, post-rock bands. It's beautiful, calm, and then it just erupts, and we felt we want to incorporate the emo style and then this type of calm to storm vibe and just make it our own. With
instead of just like you said, just a big loud rock song in your face, I feel like you can't fully get anything out of that, which is good. I love some of those types of songs, but I think it's more we find it more kind of feeding our creativity.
It makes more emotional. It just lyrically, it just allows us to express ourselves more, and the emotion in the song. And I feel those type of songs, that is our sound. You know what I mean? It's certain bands that is a calm to storm, beautiful to when you least expect it, smashes in your face. That's what we've always wanted to do. We both do. So when we're writing a song, we already know what the music video is, because it's just
because when we're writing, we love to obviously paint the picture. So automatically were like, okay, yeah, the video's this and the video like
like visuals are so important. Like, knows like some bands it wouldn't like let's just go and play with a white background. It's like for us we like from lyrics to music videos to artwork is like we put effort into like every song on our debut album has its own individual piece of art that like took like hours to create. It was done by our favorite artist Daniel Conway, and it's like for every single piece of being in the band is like we put so much effort into everything, and all our music videos interlink, and even like the new music we're working on right now is like we're so excited for people.
We have the music videos planned for that.
All the music videos are done. But yeah, we're so excited.
Yeah, I think my mom is a singing teacher. She's an opera singer actually, so I feel like in a weird way growing up hearing her singing like classical, for some reason I feel like that's like subconsciously like affected me in a way that it's more kind of that dramatics of my voice, and that I love like Deftones and stuff, like when Chino's all soft and then he can just erupt. Like that's my favorite type of vocal, like Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance, when he's then can do like the crazier kind of stuff and really over dramatic. So it's my favorite type of voice. I feel like I haven't purposely done it. I've like accidentally like done that type of sound, but yeah. And I think when we were recording our album, Jason Perry, who did our album, he really helped me kind of hone in on like the softness, because before I felt like, oh, if I'm doing it too soft, is that too soft? Is it like not powerful enough? But he helped me really hone in on it. So yeah, good.
It's like you were just saying there. It's like that being that emo band was like something that we always wanted, like the Irish one, like an Irish one to look up to, and like we never had that. And so we were kind of like looking at like You Me at Six and all bands like that, and Barbara Michael. So then it just made us like, the biggest advice would be to just focus on like songwriting. A lot of people, it's not always the obvious thing, but a lot of people think, I'm just going to go out and start playing as many shows. The advice if you always hear is go out and play as many live shows as you possibly can. Our advice would be the opposite. Do not play a live show until you've written the greatest song at your point in your life. Like when we started this band, Afterthought, we could not have written a better song than Afterthoughts like then. So it was like and then we just perfected it.
I feel like if you're playing, you can play a million shows, but if you're playing a million shows in front of people and your songs aren't good, they're not going to go home and listen to it.
Exactly.
You'd rather play like less shows and have
songs,
really good songs, and then people will go home and listen to it, and then that's
probably the best way. Like you exactly. Yeah. So just write the best songs you
can. They're really dedicated. They all get tattoos and it's crazy.
It's like our first ever headline show. I think it was like our fifth ever show, and we had people flying from Czech Republic and Spain and driving like 9 hours to the night, and it was like, this is the fifth time we've ever been on stage, and then we like every night someone was like had the tattoo of our logo, and it's like it's like
they're making their own merch and stuff. Before we even had merch, people were making their own merch.
I was like,
they're really connecting to it.
It's like so like special, because that's what
we did.
We were like growing up.
Even tonight, seeing all the young girls out there, like I used to be that, so looking out at them tonight, and I used to queue up outside waiting to watch Taking Back Sunday, so it's so weird being on the opposite side of that, and I feel like that's why we kind of
we appreciate it massively,
because
like,
we know what it is like to want to do that,
and we still feel like the same people, like even like we used to, because we live in Killarney, and like Dublin was so expensive to get to Dublin, and we saw like Ryanair used to do like 2-cent flights, so we used to fly over and see Panic at a Disco and All Time Low and like You Me at Six when we were like for like 2 cents. So then we were like, because it was so expensive to get to Dublin, and like there's no scene in Killarney or anywhere near us even still, so we want to be that band of like, even if it feels like there's no one doing what we're doing, so we just feel like it's the right time. I feel like we've started our career like knowing what we want to sound like. A lot of bands take a couple albums to be, okay, album 3, okay, now they know that sound. Like we started before knowing we know what we want to sound like visually, like musically, in every aspect. So that's what, even like going straight to an album, even like having people, I don't know, we just felt ready, like so
you can take it.
It's kind of it's like describing what we've been talking about. It's like feeling like lost, and just like even like in Killarney, like when you want to just follow your dreams, and you just feel like completely lost, and like everything's.
And then will you follow the same path as everyone else? Like, will you be part of that, or will you just do it.
Yeah.
Just
Like
yeah.
even like growing up, like saying, oh, I don't want to go to college. I want to be in a rock band, and be like, people are like, what is he? What are they on
Yeah,
about?
I remember even saying to like ex-friends like, oh, I want to be in a band, and they were like, you're not gonna be in a band.
Yeah.
And now I'm like,
yeah. So it's just basically feeling lost and just looking for the light.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't thought about that song in a while. Like lyrically, yeah. We wrote it so long ago.
Yeah,
Mentally, it's like messes you up a lot.
Yeah, I find it really difficult. Yeah.
Because you go from the high of being on stage, and then you feel like, because we were like in Killarney and like, this is all we've ever wanted to do, and then we somehow made it happen, and then when you go back there, you're like, it feels like it didn't happen. It was like, was that a dream?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of
there's really supportive people, like mostly everyone is, but then there's certain, like I said, ex-friends and stuff. There's a lot of people who don't, for some reason, I don't know what it is, because me and Paul are like, as you can tell, like we're like confused in how we're even doing this.
Yeah, we're not like,
so we're not like,
you see what I did? Like we're like literally, I don't even know what we're doing. Like
so,
we're not like boasting people. We just all we've ever wanted to do. And but a lot of people, I think, usually it's when just people aren't happy with their own lives.
Yeah.
They just like want to try and ruin someone else's. So
make you feel.
But I see it as a good sign when someone tries to be rude to you, because it shows that we're doing something good. Like so. Yeah. So yeah, I love it. So
we've got some new music coming. We're actually going into the studio
in 2 weeks.
A couple of weeks, to record a new song.
So,
and we're so excited about it. It's my favorite song. I said this even like 2 years ago when we wrote it. It's my favorite Greywind song ever, and I just can't wait for people to hear it.
And we're like lots of new shows, and like we have so much that we can't say, but it's like
it's gonna be a good year.
It's gonna be a really good year, and this is like even the show tonight, like this is like the perfect start to 2020 for us now, and it's gonna be special. Yeah. Check us out on Twitter at Greywind Band and Instagram at Greywind Band, and hopefully see you at a show soon. So thank you.